Considering a shipping container for home or business storage? Watch this before you start shopping. Shipping containers are not leftover cargo junk. So essentially they are boxes that ship the world's contents mainly coming in one direction from Asia to North America. The easiest way to think of it is they are giant boxes for other boxes to go inside to be able to get moved from wherever the goods are being manufactured to their end destination. The economics of shipping containers in terms of their cost to produce and ship, and then in turn potentially send that empty box back to Asia, don't make sense. So what happens is that shipping containers typically are on some type of a route. They may make multiple stops over many years, so they don't always come in one direction. Shipping containers are manufactured from something called Corten steel. It's a very specific type of steel that's been developed and tested for use in the application that we're talking about. When you think about shipping containers in terms of the environments that they need to pass through during their kind of origination in Asia and getting to North America, there's a number of different climates. You think about salt from the ocean, you think about extreme cold, extreme heat in a place like the Middle East. So Corten steel is essentially a steel that is designed not to corrode or rot. So it has an extremely long lifespan, and it's an extremely durable, robust type of steel. Looking at the exterior of the container will initially and very easily show a customer what the difference in quality is. So we have a new container essentially sitting next to a used container. There is an industry term given to single-use containers, which is essentially a one-trip box or a one-trip container. That's a container that's been manufactured in Asia, packed with contents inside, shipped to North America. Those contents get emptied, and then a company like us acquires that container from the logistics or shipping company and essentially then sells that on to the end user. So generally speaking, first of all, there are fewer graphics and fewer external stickers on the container. So visually, it's a little bit less obtrusive. Everything in terms of the operation of the container, so the hinges on the doors, the seals or the rubber kind of pieces along the top sides in the center are all in virtually perfect working condition. The doors are significantly easier to open and close. Essentially what you have is probably a number of wooden pallets that were stacked in the container, shipped from Asia into North America. So it's not something where you've had a significant amount of usage or forklifts kind of driving in and out of the container. Literally, it was loaded once, shipped across, emptied, and that's it. You don't see the kind of damage to the floors or the heavy usage of floors like you would with regards to a used container. So if you compare that as an example to a used container, so this particular unit, you'll be able to see the rubber around the sides and on the floors. Okay, they're obviously much more worn. The hinges themselves are a little bit more rusty, so the doors themselves are a little bit more difficult to open and close. And then if you look internally, you're going to see that the floors are generally just more worn. As part of our inspection process, we're choosing the highest grade of used container, but essentially there still is a significant difference between a single-use container and a used container. Most suppliers of shipping containers in our industry will be very familiar with used or new single-use containers, and we felt that there was an opportunity to introduce a new category, which was essentially a mid-range product. We're taking features from a used container, we're taking some features from a new container, and we're essentially joining it together to create a middle-range price point that has a lot of the features that certain customers might be looking for, but also the benefits of an aesthetic product that a single-use or a new container offers. The product behind me that we're looking at is a reconditioned container. So this is a 40-foot high cube container, 9'6". So this is essentially a used container at its origination. And what we do is, first of all, We grind down any type of exterior rust on the container. We bang out as many of the dents as possible, but it's important to note that this is still a used container. So the reconditioning process, which is hopefully improving the longevity of the container and making it look a little bit nicer, but at a more manageable price point. We have a process where we grind down the hinges on the actual doors of the containers themselves. So we have a special process where we add a lubrication to this joint, as well as a special tool that we have to grind down surface rust that has built up over time. Essentially what that's doing is it's just allowing for then the doors to be able to open and close a little bit easier. And then what we do is inside, as part of our inspection process, we're just making sure that the floor itself is in good condition. There aren't any pieces of wood that are lifted up that could create a trip hazard. The rubber seals around the perimeter of the doors are still in very good working condition. The doors themselves open and close fine. The reconditioning process just makes it a little bit nicer looking in the location where it's going. But from a functional standpoint, this will operate exactly the same as a used container, or in theory, a single-use container. So we get asked a lot how long a container should last, and I think that that's a broad spectrum or a broad answer. I think that if you're looking at a new container or a single-use container, these items have easily a 15, 20, 25 year plus lifespan. If you imagine that the box is going to be sitting in one position, it's not being handled, it's not being used in the application that it was originally designed for, an extremely long lifespan. On a used or a reconditioned container, that's a little bit different. It's already been utilized for several years on ships, on the ocean, making multiple journeys back and forth. It's had some bumps and bruises. It's experienced some trauma, so to speak, over that period of time, but the container itself is still structurally sound. I think if you were to use an average, I think that a used or reconditioned container easily is a 10-year type time horizon. So when you look at the pricing of a shipping container versus an alternative method of storage, to be able to acquire something like this at the price point that it is and know that you're getting a 10-year shelf life out of it, we think is exceptional value. Let us help you. If you're considering a shipping container for home or business storage, contact Spaces first, online at spacesstorage.ca.